So we're going to start this show. Welcome to Red Pill Nation Hangout number 333. We're going to start this particular episode with a public PSA, or a public service announcement from none other than Chris Rock. Here we go.
In the black community, myself, often worry that we might be a victim of police brutality. So, as a public service, the Chris Rock Show proudly presents this educational video. Have you ever been face to face with a police officer and wondered, is he about to kick my ass? Well, wonder no more. If you follow these easy tips, you'll be fine. First, obey the law. Laws were made for a reason. Think of them as hints. You've heard people say, man, I wouldn't do that shit if I was you. Well, here's some of that shit. Carjacking, armed robbery, arson, selling drugs, buying drugs, stabbing, shooting. You know, you probably won't get your ass kicked if you just use common sense. If you jump a subway turnstile, you might just get off with a warning from the police. But if you jump a turnstile carrying a loaded gun and smoking a joint, then maybe you need that ass kicked. We all know what happened to Rodney King. But Rodney wouldn't have gotten his ass kicked if he had just followed this simple tip. When you see flashing police lights in your mirror, stop immediately. Everybody knows, if the police have to come and get you, they're bringing an ass-kicking with them. Here's a no-brainer. If you're listening to loud rap music, turn that shit off. Blast and fuck the police while you're getting pulled over by the police is just ignorant. When an officer approaches your car, be polite.
Is there a problem, officer?
And stay in your car with your hands on the wheel.
What the fuck you want, motherfucker?
Want to give a friend a ride? Not so fast. Your friend might be crazy. Now, before you let your friend in your car, ask him these questions. Do you have a gun? Do you have drugs? Do you have any warrants? And in case you do get pulled over by the cops,
License and registration, please.
remind your friend to do this one thing. Shut the fuck up.
Man, don't give him shit. What the fuck you want?
Get a white friend. A white friend could be the difference between a ticket and a bullet in the ass. Here's a tip you should never forget. If your woman is mad at you, leave her at home. Because a mad woman will say anything. He got weed! He got weed! If your woman is mad at you, there's nothing she'd like to see more than you getting your ass kicked. Now let's review. Obey the law. Use common sense. Stop immediately. Turn that shit off. Be polite. Shut the fuck up. Get a white friend. And last but not least, don't ride with a mad woman. If you follow these simple pointers, you probably won't get your ass kicked by the police. People in the black community, myself, often worry that.
And that's where we start the show. Hollywood comedian, probably one of my most favorite guys ever on Saturday Night Live when he was on. He posted up some. I still remember that malt liquor that he used to promote on that one show, Effed Up Malt Liquor. That was funny as hell. Anyway, so welcome to Red Pill Nation Hangout number 333, Hollywood edition. Site news, group news, whatever. I am after these are going up almost immediately because I still haven't made the full conversion from night shift to day shift yet. So I'm probably going to be up till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I might just sit here and edit these videos right away. to get them all posted up, at least at YouTube, so that I can then take them from YouTube, and I can basically just grab from YouTube and go over to the other sites. For those of you who don't know, I am at Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, MGTOW TV, Brighteon. I also, and this is a new announcement, I am at Kick and Twitch. Don't know when and where I'm gonna start live streaming there or how often, but however, you can't upload videos to either of those platforms. So yeah, you have to live stream. So we'll see. Well, I will let you know if I'm gonna start doing maybe a 10-15 minute spot on there every day, just because I have such a large ego and want to have my say. I am also at Patreon as Niroki5. I'm at Subscribestar as The Red Pill Nation. I am also still at Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, TLB Talks, and Getter. And also communities.win if you're so interested. No, I don't have a Truth Social, at least not yet. I might get one at some point, but I don't have that. But yeah, I am officially at Kick and Twitch. Unfortunately, the other computer has just turned itself off, but they're versions of Naroki 5 if you want to find me on there. I will probably start posting those links up as well. The topics for this is this is an additional top one on top of 331, because, well, Hollywood this week, and Hollywood in general, is just an insane place to begin with. But every once in a while, Hollywood just goes right off the deep end, and they just deliver up so much stuff that, that's just simply too much to cover in just one episode, and you have to start up an additional episode. So 332 is one of those Hollywood specials, because man, Hollywood is full of crazy people to begin with, and that's probably being polite when I say that they're crazy. But this last week, they just kind of went right off the deep end with hypocrisy and a whole bunch of other stuff that was just too much to cover on 331. So the topics for today are: number one, Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher have decided to start up shows despite writer's strike. Well, the writer's strike is over, and we'll be covering that, I think, on 333, which is going to be this coming Wednesday. But yeah, that's one. Topic number two, Disney Plus on massive cancellation run in the face of serious losses. Most of their cancellations, by the way, have been their woke content, so maybe they're getting smart. Topic number three, and this is what I was talking about. Ava DuVernay blames racism for the failure of her documentary Nipsey Hussle. Yeah, that one is just... Yeah, well, keep in mind she was the one who gave us A Wrinkle in Time, so that tells you everything you need to know about her. Topic number four, the new Jesus story doesn't just race swap Jesus, it swaps out the entirety of the biblical Jerusalem. Yeah, they did. It wasn't enough to just race swap Jesus. They had to race swap everybody in there. Let's not even get into all the historical fallacies, but when we get to it, we'll get to it. And then topic number five, my personal favorite, Greta Gerwig, the director who brought us the Barbie movie, is seriously mad that the Manosphere has adopted the Ken character from the Barbie movie. And I mean, that one's going to be, that one's going to be, I'm saving the best for last on that. So with me tonight is my usual host and the guy who has been clandestinely calling all the shots behind all of Hollywood in terms of, you must do this crazy thing. Rearson.
Really? That's a first. I am the last person. Well, if I was calling all the shots in Hollywood, believe me, we wouldn't have half the woke. Actually, we wouldn't have any of that woke shit happening right now. But hey, But, they ignored me. They don't listen to me. I know. What? What did you say? But you know what? Hey, the strike's over. They think they're going to win. And it's going to be what you see happening at McDonald's now, or what you would have seen when here in Alberta, when they raised the minimum wage up to $15 an hour or whatever it was. All of a sudden, you have self-serve counters. So, good on you guys. Yeah, you won. That makes you sleep better at night. Back to you.
And of course, the guy who was secretly the clone of me and doing the longest running conspiracy podcast in New Zealand, he's secretly trying the frogs gay. Vinny Eastwood.
Hi, how's it going? It's a surprise to me to hear that Rearson is the number one hit hot show in Hollywood, but also not surprising. He seems like the kind of guy who could get into any orifice. What?
Frick.
but it's not like that, bro. It's very loving what he does. Now I'm Vinny Eastwood. I guess I'm a person with a kind of schizophrenic talent disorder. Am I a comedian? Am I a writer? Am I a talk radio show host? Am I a filmmaker? Am I an actor? Am I a voice actor? The answer is yes. And I've just been sort of poddling along and sticking my fingers into various orifices of my own for some time. Don't take it that way. Anyway, it's my great pleasure to be here and to offer my poignant commentary to the topics at hand.
Yeah, I'm trying not to take it anyway. Thank you very much.
All right, and that leads me into my new commercial sponsor, the Orange Man Bad line of products. Yes, first of all, man, are you still not over 2016? And you just can't stop talking about Orange Man Bad, and you need to just talk about how bad Orange Man Bad is, even when you're in the bathroom 17 times a day masturbating, and you start to get chafing and blisters in a certain part of your body. Orange Man Bad hand balm.
I can't do it this time. I'm sorry. Orange Man Bad
hand bulb will help ease the situation. Yes, no more cherry blisters, but now Orange Man Bad has expanded. Yes, we now have Orange Man Bad
inflated.
And
was that somebody masturbating while massaging a goose?
Something like that.
You don't want to know.
All right. So the new topic.
I'm sure I don't. So sorry. Go ahead.
So the new products from Orange Man Bad are Orange Man Bad joint and muscle to cure those cases, unknown cases of carpal
hand cramp
syndrome and hand cramp and aches in the shoulder because you just can't stop jerking off to touching yourself and pleasuring yourself to Donald Trump. So we've solved that, and also Kelso has brought up a new product, Orange Man Bad lip balm, for the people who just want to suck the dick of their favorite politician so they won't have to worry about lip chapping either.
Not available in supersize.
That's right. So the new all-consuming Orange Man Bad line of products: Orange Man Bad hand balm, Orange Man joint and muscle, and Orange Man Bad lip balm, coming soon to politically correct stores everywhere. All right. So the topics for you're welcome. You're welcome, Vinny. You're welcome, Vinny. So the topics for tonight. Topic number 1: Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher have decided to show up. Oh, we already covered that. So let's just get right into topic number 1 then. The first topic is Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher. The writer's strike, the actor's strike, which just recently got settled, by the way. But the actors are still out. But Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher have just said no. We're just tired of this. We're just gonna restart our shows. Bill Maher laid out some case that it's sort of like, well, it's not just me, it's all the support staff and whatever that aren't working because these writers are on strike and these people need to make a living. Yeah, he kind of does have a point there. However, when we actually get into the fact that the Hollywood writers' strike got settled and what happened because of it, it's a little bit of hypocrisy. What they were going to do before it's not a coincidence that maybe the writers decided to settle right after Maher and Barrymore decided to walk across the line. Is that a combination of two things. One, maybe I'm guessing that these two people, although they supposedly have personal wealth in the tens and hundreds of millions in the case of Bill Maher, they probably have bills they got to pay, and so this writer and actor strike was affecting everybody everywhere. So that was part of the reason. The other part of it is that Drew Barrymore there's a bunch of people that Drew Barrymore hasn't gotten on her knees yet. She got on her knees for Dylan Mulvaney, but she hasn't prostrated herself in front of Hillary Rodham Clinton, and she hasn't sucked Joe Biden's dick. And there's just a whole bunch of people that she needs to snivel in front of that are just like plain out insane leftists and stupid. Bill Maher is not quite as dogmatic. Here's the other part in it. Besides the fact that they've been on strike and I haven't noticed or cared, and neither has Russo. I don't think Vinny has really noticed or cared either. Is the fact that the publicity machine they got to get back to that propagandizing. Like, that's just absolutely incredibly important. I could get into what happened out of the writer's strike, which is exactly what I figured was going to happen. I probably should also apologize because I don't know if I made this prediction or not, but I did say that there were going to be some large strikes coming out of the end of after the end of COVID, and I was right. But I'm going to go out and make a prediction now, is that because of the consequences of the writer's strike, you're going to see alt entertainment and alt media really, especially after the 2024 election, you're going to really start to see alt media and alt entertainment start to take off. And I won't get into the details right now because it's a consequence of what happened over the writer's strike. But yeah, that's going to be very, not surprised that I knew this was going to, this is going to happen. I'm not overly surprised that Drew Barrymore, Bill Maher tried to paint a nice picture, rosy picture of it, but I mean, he's a bit of a hypocrite himself. And with that, I'm turning it over to Vinny.
Well, I remember there's been a number of writer strikes in the film industry, isn't it? And I think it's apparent, like, what was it, Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen, or something of that nature, was written during a writer's strike, and there was all these people coming out against it and that kind of thing. And just sort of, I think it's just a repeat of history. And like, I remember, what was his name? George Clooney. It was called A Hollywood Elite by Orange Man Bad. Had talked about how when you're on a film set, you have to negotiate with like 14 different unions. And in New Zealand, in order to get the Hobbit franchise, this is the reason why Peter Jackson is now Sir Peter Jackson, by the way. This is how you earn that title in New Zealand, is by selling out your countrymen. They disbanded all the unions and everybody's employment contracts. So, when you're employed, you get holiday pay and overtime and things of that nature, and job security, 6 months contract, whatever. And now they turned everybody into contractors. And so they're going to pay their own taxes. They're going to organize themselves, and they've got no employment rights whatsoever. They can just be cast off of a film set and stuff like that. They did that to the entire film industry of New Zealand just to get the Hobbit movies here. And so when you're talking about the film industry and writers' strike, these kind of things can really happen in a society that's very well unionized and things of that nature. But also, it doesn't have the opportunities that you have as a film service like in New Zealand, where you are contracted to basically create films. You're not unionized, you're not protected or anything like that. And if you can't do the job, you've got your marching orders, son. It's rather brutal like that. But in the United States, that's not how it works. And I don't like the idea of unions in particular, namely because of the socialism element, and that they mostly just get unions to radicalize people and things of that nature, as I did with women's unions and things of that nature back in the day. So I'm not sure what to make of all this, except to say that boo-hoo, a whole bunch of people are complaining about the fact that they don't actually create anything of worth in society except for people's distraction from society's ills and need for people to produce things. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Riz. Eventually. Hello, Reason. Are you there? You've got to unzip the gimp suit mask. There's still nowhere. Am I alone on this show? Naroki, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I forgot to unmute. Rearson, that's incredibly deep stuff, Rearson.
He's just not there. Must be taking a wiki leak.
He must be. Wait, I hear something in that. That's on that. No, that's not me.
No, that's me scooping up the dinner for the missus here.
Oh wait, no, he's unmuted himself. And again, right? Why did you go and put the gimp suit back on between shows? I mean, now you got to take it off, and now it's clinging to your skin and pulling your hair away from your body. What were you expecting?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I suppose at the end of the day, the whole thing with the being Drew, between those two and the financial success that they've had, yeah, I will agree with you, Norky, on that. They probably had. I'm sure it was a case of being concerned about their staff. No doubt they were probably bored out of their frickin' tree, so they needed to do something. And the unfortunate thing is that I don't know about Bill Maher, but Drew Barrymore backed down pretty damn quick with all of this as well. So, I mean, I suppose the good thing about this is that we don't have to hear it anymore about the writer's strike. Bad news is that we're going to have really bad late night talk show monologue again. Oh, well, whatever. For myself, at the end of the day, much like my track record of Going to movies, except for Sun Freedom as of late. I don't go, I don't bother. And I cut cable a long fucking time ago. So this honestly has not impacted me in any way, shape, or form, just because I don't subscribe to the shit that they put out. So I will leave it at that.
That was an unexpectedly fast ending. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic here. All right, Disney. I've seen, I mean, here's the thing. It's sort of like after the kind of marketing ploy that they pulled with the Barbie movie. You know, Disney has done stuff in the past that that made you think that maybe they were starting to back away from all this SJW stuff, and then you turn your back on them and they're right back doing it again. So Disney went on, and they had to do this, by the way. Just on the movies themselves, they have lost $2 billion. The parks, which were their actual bread and butter, are not getting the attendance that they used to, probably because parents are somewhat concerned about their kids. And Disney keeps taking the side of child beeping pedophiles. Pissed off half the country. That's not good for your bottom line. They're not going to see your movies. They're not going to go to your parks. So they're losing money there. The cruises are not doing so well either. I mean, probably not a good idea to have one of your cruise lines stop at Epstein Island. And all of that stuff has been openly revealed. So they're at the point now where they're looking to they're starting to have to sell off assets, and among the other things that they have to do is, this was, and I remember because there was some open speculation about this a couple of weeks ago that, why is Disney doing what they're doing? And then one of the things that was being speculated about with Disney is that they're doing this because BlackRock and Fleet Street and I can't remember the name of the third one. Vanguard. We're going to have their backs, and now those companies are kind of starting to back away from ESG because they're realizing that public opinion has turned on it. So all of a sudden, Disney is like, oh, so the investors our new stockholders don't have our backs anymore. Because the speculation is that the reason why, because they were just going to keep putting out this content, because at some point they were going to be running the whole show, and the only content we were going to have would be this schlock that they're putting out. That's not the way it went. So the new CEO went on a cutting spree and chopped probably, rumor has it, up to half of the shows that Disney was going to produce. Ziegler, which I was almost tempted to give her own topic on this particular show, but I decided not to. Ziegler has been Ziegler is probably this Snow White movie is probably the last thing she's going to be doing with Disney. I mean, she actually makes us want to have Brie Larson back. It's just my personal opinion. I think Brie Larson is better looking than Rachel Zegler anyway, but Zegler makes Brie Larson look pleasant by comparison, which is one hell of a thing to accomplish, by the way. But yeah, Disney is, and let's not even get into the value of their stock, and they've probably lost tens of billions of dollars worth of stock value. So yeah, Disney is tanking. Disney bought in wholeheartedly to the ESG thing and to the globalist agenda. And now that things are really starting to seriously turn against them, and people have options. They're not necessarily stuck having to watch the same boring content over and over and over again because people are not as enslaved to 12 channels anymore like there was when I was growing up. So, people have options, and if Disney is not going to put out any good product, and I mean they came up with a couple of okay things. Guardians of the Galaxy turned a small profit. I mean, there have been a couple of shows they did this year that made profits, but I mean they're just going downhill fast. And I'm also going to bring this up. Disney was the one who they were the big primary pushers of the AI capture technology, which is the one where they just hire the actor for like a day, save the actor's image, and then never bring the actor back, and then profit off of that person's image. Disney was the ones who were pushing that really hard as well. So yeah, bunch of dirty sleazebags. Not in the least bit sympathetic for them. I feel some sympathy. Oh yeah. There's another thing. The regular and frequent roundup of pedophiles that work for Disney, at least once a year, and it happened this year too. A bunch of Disney employees get caught being kitty diddlers every single year.
Well, I guess they didn't see that coming.
Yep, they didn't see it coming, but it's like, yep. So I feel sorry for just the regular Disney employees that have to put. Oh my God, everyone! Now that you've got me started, the fact that they call the Disney Studios in Burbank, the nickname for it is Mauschwitz. So it was a bad place to work before the wokeism came in. So feel sorry for the people who've been Disney employees and have been doing an honest day's work and getting an honest day's pay from Disney for years that have to deal with this stuff now. It's in some circles, it's almost kind of embarrassing telling people that you're a Disney employee and everything that implies anymore. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
Yeah, Disney's not got the best reputation out there. It's all of the off-screen stuff, and when you're part of the industry, I guess who you are in the real world and who you are on screen and things of that nature, they're by nature very different. Although I recall when Disney took over Marvel and all the actors had to re-sign their contracts with Disney, there were all these things that they couldn't do or couldn't be seen to be doing in public or something like that. They actually had to pretend to be upstanding citizens, like superhero things that kids look up to and stuff like that. If they got caught doing one thing, wrong or whatever, that's their job as Captain America gone. That's their job as Thor gone or whatever. So the amount of control that they exert over people, it's just like, how much I just love control and what it implies by the people who tend to use it against other people who can't really stop you to a large degree. It's just, how the left are always going on about the corporates and how bad they are, and they're all corporation-y. And this entity known as Disney has been hip deep in the pedophile game since like day one, as far as I know. And if they're going to fall and things of that nature, I mean, I'll be honest here. I'm a big movie buff, and I love all these, sci-fi action freaking superhero stuff. I love it. It's great. It's great entertainment. But also at the end of the day, I'm cognizant of the fact that while I'm watching these things, that the people who make them aren't who they are on screen, you know? And I remember James Gunn, the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie that just came out this year. One time I read the texts that he was sending out, like
I
being,
remember that. Yeah.
pretending to be an eagle and like snatching kids off the street to rape and things like that. These are like messages that he's sending. It's like, what the hell, bro? And you know, and this is a kind of like a full-on creep town going on here, and these are the people with billions of dollars and the a whole generation of the world's children at their beck and call. You know, and that's a little concerning, frankly. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Might want to unmute there, Naroki or Rearson.
I'm ready to go on this one. Oh fuck! We're on like Disney stock tanking. All of this could have been avoided, or enough of this could have been avoided, had Bob Iger not have a galaxy-sized fucking ego. I wasn't aware that he's actually he's hyper-democratic. He's a hyper-democrat. And if you look at the timeline as to when Iger stepped down, that was before COVID hit. And since we all pretty much agree that COVID is it was a planned endemic, Iger wanted to step out when all of this stuff was going down. And then he was going to step back in, and did step back in after COVID kind of settled down. But I mean, I don't think that it's a matter of it being as much of Vanguard, BlackRock, or State Street telling Disney what to do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure that they've got their plans in the corporate office. But Iger has stacked the boardroom with lackeys and friends that are overall relatively loyal to him. So the man has created the problems that Disney has ultimately rests on the shoulders of Bob Iger, because the guy thinks he knows what he's doing, and he wants so much recognition overall. I don't know if I could call him a sociopath, a psychopath, or narcissist, or he's all of that wrapped up in one. I don't know.
Demonically possessed, but you know, I was just thinking, as you're saying that, it sounds like a boom and bust cycle. They pump stuff up and then they just destroy it and stuff like that, so that everybody, all the suckers, invest their money and then they all lose it, and then the big scumbag bankers, they wind up with everything for pennies on the dollar.
Well, that too. I mean, Iger, there was a stockholder meeting. Iger, I'm sure it would have been Iger at the end of the day, was announced that we're going to invest $60 billion over 10 years. But all of that money is either going to go to cruise lines, or it's going to be going to try to push Disney at more presence overseas. So Paris, Tokyo, and at least one more. I think there were like 6 properties that they were going to be looking at doing. And it's going to be in China. And I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry. I'm going to state the obvious here. You're allowed to do business in China so long as the government, the Chinese government, the CCP doesn't, you don't piss the CCP off. Now, I don't know about you, but even with, Finn having been marginalized on the second Star Wars, or the first or second Star Wars movie poster. It was the first one, that's right. But they minimalized him there. And they took out all of the gay scenes out of homosexual scenes, whatever you want to call it, out of their movies when they're playing it in China. I have no sympathy at all for Iger. None. I mean, I've been watching... are we going to, as a topic, are we going to go into a bit about Ahsoka, or not really? I mean, I haven't watched it, but I'm watching everyone else critique it and just shoot that fucking shit down.
I have not watched Ahsoka at all.
No, nor have I. I mean, Disney's not getting my money anymore. But I'm watching like Nerdrotic and Desparu and Valiant Renegade on YouTube, and they're ripping the fucking series to shreds. Like it's fucking pathetic. So, we'll talk about that, I suppose, at a later point. But I mean, this was all of the stuff that Chapek was going to avoid doing, and Iger, who relegated himself, where he was CEO and chairman of the board, that wasn't working out to what Iger wanted to do. Iger had and was fully intent and hell-bent on politicizing Disney as much as possible. I mean, there was that one director, I can't remember what the fuck she was. I'm going to make everything as wherever possible. I'm going to throw in all the queer shit. And I mean, she's got the blue checkmark, black and a lesbian, I think is what she was. Doesn't matter. So, as I was saying, like 5 years ago, maybe it was only as early as 3 years ago. But anyway, I may not be very much when it comes to Disney and Disney Plus, and I was only subscribing when they had stuff that I was interested in watching Bad Batch and The Mandalorian. I wasted my time watching Obi-Wan. Didn't need to be done. In fact, it should never have been done. The only other movie that I did get caught up in, the Thor movies. I haven't watched Love and Thunder, and I'm not going to. Fucking way. And the new Doctor Strange, the last Doctor Strange movie. That's basically about it. Like, that's all that I watched. There was not much there for me at all. And as soon as I got my binge watching done, boom, canceled, goodbye. And at the end of the day, everything as to what is wrong with Disney requires one person to, in one form or another, admit that he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he doesn't understand his audience. Not the desired target audience, not the fucking minority, but the actual people that, at the end of the day, when you can strip away partisan political parties out of the equation, and as you said, Naroki, I mean, it's pretty much a yearly event as to how many pedophiles they're going to round up, just to at least show the world that somewhere within law enforcement, they're going after the kitty diddlers. That's all that is. These are the people on the low end of the totem pole that are the sacrificial.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fish in the Chinese restaurant and the tanks. You know, they're just the little ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every day you want to please a customer, you grab one of them fish out of the tank. Oh, here you go, fresh fish. You know, no, you had them waiting the whole time, bro. It's just like you didn't just go out and angling and catch that sucker.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. So, like, this has been a disaster waiting to happen, and to finally start to see the fruits of labor from the silent majority. And again, at the end of the day, your moderate Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, centrist, whatever, the vast majority of the planet's population, of any country's population, they don't want their kids to be sexualized. They don't want them to be approached. They certainly don't want them to be molested. This wholesome image that Disney has, oh my God, it's absolutely disgusting, but whatever. But I'm not playing a part of this anymore. I will when I have to, but I think what I'm going to do, oh, and that was the other thing as well too, was there was the 8 or 12 animated episodes of Star Wars, and it was basically Japanese anime companies, and they just did what they wanted to. The first one, I can't remember what it was called, The Duel, that's what it was. That was the best one of all of them. It just had a really strong Akira Kurosawa feel to it. It was old. It was feudal Japan, adapted with Star Wars, done really, really well. That I didn't mind paying for. But once I got my film, once everything was done, see ya. And again, this is also going to go back ultimately also to Kathleen Kennedy. So Disney's goose right now is pretty much cooked. Whether it's going to die on the fire or there might eventually be a phoenix that rises out from the ashes remains to be seen. Either way, the stuff that I've enjoyed watching doesn't exist anymore. And if they don't listen to what I want and what a lot of Star Wars fans want, the franchise is going to be dead, or at the very least, it's going to be like Doctor Who. It has to go into a coma for about 10 fucking years, at least, before it's going to come back and hopefully be able to make something of itself. So tie that into the shit going on, or the stuff that was going on with the writer's strike, and a lot of writers that were employed in Hollywood are absolutely worthless, talentless hacks that, I said it before and I'll say it again, much like Nicolas Cage or Mark Hamill for that matter as a live action actor, he's not that good. He's a great voice actor, but his ability to be an actual on-screen actor, yeah, Skywalker, and that basically is about the best he's going to get ever. So, and all of those people need to find a real job, something that will, they're going to be told to sit down and shut up, and I don't care about your freaking political viewpoints. I don't care that you identify as, or that you feel the need, dude, you're not a lady, you know, and it's just, this whole message.
I'm just waiting for one of these people to come out and say, I identify as a competent filmmaker, but I digress.
I identify as a competent writer. Yeah, you can identify with whatever you want. You know, just like in Israel, they can indict a ham sandwich. Oh, did I say that out loud? Mean it. Or Saudi Arabia, or Iran, or Iraq, or whatever. This is one of those times that I have no sympathy.
But what Israel didn't count on is that the ham sandwich had a rye wit.
Damn it, Vinny. I got to keep going here, man. You're trying. No, that's fine. We try to derail each other with one of these on here anyway. But at this point now... I'm still
laughing about how badly I need that orange bad freaking joint cream.
So, Naroki, you have to give this over to the guys in the lab with the Orange Man bad stuff. They got to make also the industrial strength, industrial size.
No,
and if I may make a suggestion for the next applicator, the next applicator has to be a purple dildo.
No, the next applicator has to be like a shovel.
The JM,
Yeah.
the JM purple poker.
you get the jumbo size from Costco, and it's just perfectly formulated for a shovel head to fit in there, bro. Because if you need that orange bad cream, you need that orange man bad cream bad.
Oh, fuck it. There's another thing as well too, is that Chapek was also apparently had a working relationship with Ron DeSantis, and we'll go the the whole don't say gay thing. So, and no doubt that had someone pissed in Bob Iger's fucking cornflakes that day as well too. So, much like what happened in Canada with Target buying Zellers, and the whole fucking thing fell apart. that was unto itself was a good lesson for business for the business economics classes in university. But I think what is going on with Disney at this point really takes the cake in terms of political insertion and activism, not just in their movies, but in the backroom deals with Washington, ultimately at the end of the day, at least. And again, as we've already pointed out before, with what's happened over in China as well. So, I've got no sympathy for Bob Iger. I hope the man fucking rots. And I'm reluctantly waiting for Bad Batch to come out, and it will be a cold day in hell before I watch anything else from James Gunn. I like Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I refuse to watch 3, and I'm sorry, but I don't, like with my son, overall, I don't reward bad behavior. And I'm certainly not going to reward Disney anymore than I don't have to. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I sort of removed myself from that. Guardians 3 was the bomb. It was unbelievably man, the amount you cry and laugh and are like full of wonder during that film. You haven't had an experience like that, ever. I think it's really an iconic landmark of a film. It's a shame we won't watch it, but we can't all be honest.
Well, I mean, Vinny, if you enjoyed it, great. I mean, don't let me stop you. But for me, it's I can't separate the person. I can't separate what James Gunn does as a director as to what he does in his private life, and that's my stance. And
but what about the other 100,000 people that worked on the film who aren't James Gunn, who did all sorts of different jobs?
And what about the people that are working at Disney that are not pedophiles, that are losing their job because of absolute incompetence at the corporate level? It's really nice.
Well, that's the whole thing about tarring with a brush. You can't really do it, but you can say that an entity is evil. It's like what G. Edward Griffin said about abstraction, right? Like how you can touch a tree, but you can't touch a forest because a forest is an abstraction, like government. You can't touch a government.
Yeah. No, I get it. Anyway, my apologies for rambling on, gentlemen. I will relinquish the mic.
What can I say about this one? All right, yeah. So I'm just like I said. I should have. I can't specifically recall where I said there were going to be large looming strikes coming up the tail end of COVID, but I mean, I was expecting this, and it's sort of like skeptics will go, "Oh well, it's easy to say something after the fact," and I'm pretty sure I said somewhere that there were probably going to be strikes, large strikes in Hollywood after this happened. But yeah, so I'm going to go out on the record here. The next most logical conclusion to what's going on, and we will cover this when we get to 333. The writers settled on that. The writers settled on that strike, but they settled and they made a bunch of concessions, and then all the studios cut the number of productions they were doing by half, apparently. So that's going to create a huge opening for alt entertainment, alt media, alt tech that the regular folks are not going to be able to fill. And you're going to see an explode. If you thought Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, and all the podcasts and everything were doing well before, like over the next 4 years or so, regardless of whether Biden is in office or whether the Democrats somehow magically are able to hold power or not, or whether Trudeau somehow manages to hang on as prime minister, I mean, alt media is just going to absolutely explode. That's where I'm going to go off, finish with this one. But now let's get into another individual who I think is probably this is the type of person who probably wouldn't have had much of a Hollywood career if it wasn't for all the wokeism that was taking place in Hollywood. Ava DuVernay. The woman who gave us A Wrinkle in Time, which I actually saw and was kind of meh about it. She is.
I saw it too and completely forgot even anything that happened in it. That's a really average film with nothing about it's memorable.
No, there's nothing about it. I mean, other than the fact that Oprah Winfrey was in it, there's like nothing about it there's a couple of things, like the way the girl who was bullying the other girl at the start of the movie ends up being as much of a victim as the girl who actually is the main character. There's a couple of other little things about it that stand out, but there's a lot of social justice messaging in that movie. Because Ava DuVernay has got to be Ava DuVernay, and Ava DuVernay would likely have not had the career that she's been having had it not been for Hollywood being the way it is. She's not a particularly good filmmaker. She's not a particularly good documentary, and of course, all of her stuff is loaded with racism, and she is pissed because her documentaries are not getting the same play as Oppenheimer. Now, keep in mind, Oppenheimer was playing second fiddle to the Barbie movie, which we will actually be covering here at the tail end of the show. The whole issue with Ava DuVernay is that, and I believe this is the second time now that she's tried to play the race card about this, is that, and this has been happening. You can almost like set your watch to it, right? They come out with this woke movie that's not doing very well in the movie theaters. Its trailers are getting slammed. They race swap and whatever, and instead of trying to minimize what they're trying to do, which is, by the way, why the Barbie movie went so well, is that the Barbie movie downplayed this stuff and didn't go out and didn't go around throwing out insults and going around insulting its fans. Instead, they tried a different approach, and that type of marketing actually worked quite well for that movie. However, it's not going to work on another, and it's not going to work again. And Barbie, despite its massive cringe-worthy aspects of the movie, is still actually not. I mean, I could see why it made $1 billion. The situation with Ava DuVernay is that she's not a particularly good director or movie maker in the first place, right? She's a woman that, I hate to say this, but tokenism. She is the token PC black woman that they march out for Hollywood to show that they're not being racist. So they give her project after project after project after project after project, not because she's a good filmmaker. She's an okay filmmaker, but because of who she is and not because of her actual talent. And none of these movies ever do very well.
Talk about privilege. Talk about privilege.
And then, of course, it happens. And of course, what happens is they throw out the race card or the misogyny card, or they double down and they try to self-defense, or even worse yet, which is what they did with Birds of Prey, where they literally tell their chief audience, which is exactly what happened, because we actually covered it on this on this show when it came out. Birds of Prey was openly saying, "Men, this movie isn't for you." So guess what happened? The men didn't go see the movie, and the movie tanked. And then when the movie tanked, they tried to blame the men because the men didn't go see their show, even though they had openly said that the show wasn't for them. So yeah, the same cycle continues over and over and over and over and over again. Sort of Ava DuVernay just continuously gets proven wrong, but she's allowed, just like Disney, she's allowed to keep going anyway, because there's just lots of money in Hollywood, and there's money coming in. There's money for everybody. There's money for you. There's money for you. And there's money for you. And for the first time ever, there's not money for everybody in Hollywood anymore. And but Ava DuVernay is so self-absorbed and so narcissistic that instead of maybe cluing into what's going on, she instead decides to double down and cry racism because Oppenheimer is doing better than what I'm guessing are likely some very I wouldn't surprise me if there's some anti-white racism in these documentaries. Continue, Vinny. Go ahead.
Well, wasn't Oppenheimer directed by Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, it was.
The man who made the first billion-dollar comic book movie, Batman, The Dark Knight, and this chick is saying that it's racism, that why her movie is not being as appreciated as his?
Yep. Never mind the fact that
all right, I've got one response to that. Okay, it's just a one sound response.
Thank you. You took the sigh right out of my mouth.
I think somebody needs a healthy dose of Orange Man back. Just saying.
Anyway, yeah, no, Ava DuVernay.
Who doesn't?
Well, Ava Varney don't, because she don't need no man.
Anyway, yeah, so what's going on? So what is going on with Hollywood is that they're just bending over backwards trying to show everybody how progressive and how not racist and blah, 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 blah they are. And it's just backfiring really badly. And again, it's you can almost set your watch to it. They race swap a character, which we'll be getting into in the next section, or they reimagine an old movie and the trailers come out and it's awful. So instead of like saying, oh, well, which is kind of what they've been doing, which is kind of what Disney has been doing with Snow White. They've been looking at Snow White and go, well, do we really want to release this movie? Right? Like, we're not bringing Ziegler back for anything because she's toxic, right? But they just keep, and they just do it over and over and over and over and over again and expecting different results. Now, from a 12-step program perspective, a person that's doing things over and over and over and over and over again is insane. What you do with an individual who is like that is that you, and I mean, it's a difficult thing because I'm one of those guys who will go out. I'm a movie guy, right? I like movies. I've got 1,400 DVDs sitting on various shelves in my apartment right now. I'm looking at all of them as I speak, right?
1,400?
1,400.
I've got a couple of hundred, but not 14. Wow.
Yeah, man. It's there's three shelves set up and there's nothing but DVDs on all of them. It's yeah, I collect DVDs. Some people collect hockey jerseys, whatever, or football jerseys or records or whatever. My
I
my
was oh yeah, man. I was absolutely grateful for my DVD collection when I was banned from the internet, bro. I managed to watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe on DVD. It was great.
Oh, I've got the complete tag. I've got Dexter, all 8 seasons. I've got all the seasons for Battlestar Galactica that I haven't even begun to watch yet.
Oh,
Um,
bro, that new Battlestar Galactica was freaking awesome. You'll love it.
yeah, it was shot in my hometown. Well, it was shot in my hometown too. It was shot in Vancouver. Yeah,
It also features my cousin Lucy Lawless in it as a silencer. It was really good.
yeah, Lucy Lawless actually got her actors training in Vancouver. The place that she went, it's like I went in there one time when I was first in the film industry to set up some casting calls, and it's like, yeah, Lucy Lawless went to this place for her actors training. That was like a big thing with this one particular. I can't remember what the name of the place was. She's your
I
cousin?
rem- yeah, I remember seeing a thing of her doing a musical at school when she was 16. You know, doing the whole Broadway skedaddle for the school play. It was great, and went round to their place for her daughter Daisy's 21st birthday. Bro, they had a Star Destroyer shaped cake, and it was the tastiest freaking cake I've ever had in my life, and it was huge, so good. And uh, I was talking with her about stuff. She said, "You know what? Was really good on toast, Vinny? Avocado and Marmite." And I was just like, "All right, what's up, son?" And then, I was sort of like wanted to approach her about the climate change thing, but not, sort of give myself away. Sort of thing, because she's a big climate activist. And I was just like, well, why are you so into this climate thing? And her eyes glaze over, sort of scary like, and she goes, it's because it's the most important issue there is in the world, you know. But creeped out by that. But, spent some time with her kids, they're lovely boys, and her husband as well. Rob Tappert, who produced the original Evil Dead, hung out with him for a little bit. They're really cool, sweet, loving family, and I wish more people could kind of like be like that. Like, don't let the job get to you. Don't let being in a bad industry make you a bad person.
Well, I mean, I noticed a lot of people, a lot of the major star, like this is a proven fact. A lot of the major actors, when they get to a certain level and they can afford to leave town, they do. I've noticed that for a very long time. Or actors reach a certain point in their career, and then all of a sudden they just up and leave Hollywood for. Rob Hartnett was one of them. He was in
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett. Yeah, Josh Hartnett. He was in that
Black
movie.
Hawk Down.
Yeah,
and 40 Days and 40 Nights.
Yeah, and also the guy who played Anakin Skywalker in the he has a farm. Hayden Christensen. Yeah, Hayden Christensen. He's got a farm in Alberta somewhere. He lives in a small town in Alberta somewhere. Yeah. Probably within driving distance of where both me and Rearson live, but I'm not gonna. But yeah, I've noticed that. So, and it's a lot of it has to do. And Ava DuVernay. Here's the thing with Ava DuVernay. The worm is going to one of two things is going to happen to Hollywood in the end, because it's like, yeah, the alt media, the alt entertainment, and alt tech are going to just explode now because Hollywood has just created this opening. And what's going to happen is Ava DuVernay and Hollywood in general, there's going to be two things. Either Hollywood either embraces this and accepts the changes and understand that whole like the system that Weinstein took massive advantage of and what had been around for decades. That there isn't going to be gatekeepers to fame like there had been in the past. Either they're going to have to embrace that change and adapt, or the money is just going to disappear one day. And Hollywood, they'll be talking about Hollywood like they talk about the Temple of Artemis or the Temple of Halicarnassus, or they'll be talking about it the same way they talk about Masada or some of those other ancient places, these places where, something really big culturally happened, but it's no longer a thing anymore. And there's just this sign up in the hill. And that's the only thing that's left over from that bygone era. And that's one of the two phases that's going to happen. But because of what's happened with all of these strikes, and Ava DuVernay is a symptom of this. She's not the cause of it. She is a symptom of this. Because people like Ava DuVernay are allowed to thrive in this environment, it's just creating more openings. And by the way, for anybody who attempts to say this, being critical of Ava DuVernay does not make me a bigot. And go ahead.
Well, I remember something that Joseph Atwell taught me is that there's a lot of people who are what he calls lifetime actors. And he wanted to get that term into the lexicon of humanity. And so you would have people who aren't actually particularly talented. There's no actual reason why they've got the acclaim or fame or anything that they do. But because of what they represent and because of what they stand for, they're kept in those positions in an artificial way in order to push through a social agenda. And so that person's life is dedicated to that agenda, and they're being paid to fulfill it and will suffer severe consequences if they fail. You're muted, guys.
That sounds about right. A talking mouthpiece is basically what that is.
Yeah, Bill Gates, for example.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add, Vinny, or can we turn it over to Rearson?
No, I've got nothing to add. We've been talking about it the whole time. Let's go.
All right. I never heard of this person before. And maybe 3 days from now, I'll completely forget all about her. All I see is a picture. When I took a look at the picture of her, I'm like, okay, so there she is, the token black person. I mean, I had this running joke with one of the women I used to work with, and hey, TPEOC, how are you? Token person of color. And she took it all in stride because she didn't disagree with our employer at the time. I mean, I'm still there, but
is she Tupac Shakur?
No.
Anyway, when you were talking about this filmmaker and stuff like that, how you're going to forget her in 3 days, my first thought was who?
Oh, well, fuck, exactly, man. I mean, I've never heard of her before. I looked her up only because Naroki mentioned her. Kind of, okay, well, who the fuck is this broad? Oh, one of those. And she is not spectacularly looking. I don't think she even looked good in her prime. Maybe. No, with makeup, she might have been a 7. Maybe. And based on her track record of what Naroki has said as the things that she's done, I have no use for this fucking woman. Like, none. If she was on fire, I'm the only person around, I have to cross the street to piss on her to put out the fire. I'm not necessarily putting out the fire. That sort of thing. I I think that my expectation will be is that once Hollywood deals with its minimum wage increase requirements, shall we say, when we were at IKEA buying a few things with my son and spouse, no, with my son, all three of us. No, yeah, all three of us. No, it's just my son and I. They have the self checkouts. They don't have the cashier anymore. They've got the self checkouts.
I was just thinking, you were saying that before, and it reminds me of AI, how AI is writing a lot of the news articles now, allegedly, and AI can write music and build websites and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And with the Grand Moff Tarkin resurrection in Rogue One, Star Wars, we see now potential for entire actors to get copyrighted and have an AI write the script and AI do the programming and stuff like that. You can just churn out blockbuster after blockbuster for like minimal dollars with very little human involvement.
Well, apparently this is also another thing that was a problem with the strike in Hollywood with AI, is that Disney has already apparently been using AI for filler of, actors in the background sort of thing. So extras will be a thing of the past at some point as well too. So, but again, at the McDonald's that are here in Alberta, the province that Naoki and I both live in, they don't really have cashiers anymore. If they can find the place to set up the self-checkouts, they're going to do it. And so, again, with someone like her, the only way that she will remain in Hollywood is if she will have some political use or niche to fill, and that's about it. I don't know what else she can do. I don't really care what else she can do, because it doesn't fucking matter to me, and I know it doesn't matter to both of you as well. She's mediocre at best, and it's only because of what was that thing for black people only? Shit. It was something that was struck down. Ricky, help me on this one. It was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court like 1 or 2 months ago. Affirmative action. That's what it was. The only reason why she is where she is because of affirmative action and that sort of thing. I mean, just like Elon Musk made his billions because of government contracts. Otherwise, I don't think he really had too much to him overall. I think he started PayPal. That kind of started all of that, but fuck, whatever. She's, like I said, she's someone I'm going to forget about. All right, if I think about her, I'm not going to put very much effort into. I didn't put any effort into looking her up or understanding more about her. So, all I would say to her is, don't let the door hit you on the way out when reality catches up to what kind of a unremarkable person you really are. And I'll leave it at that.
You are the most special.
Are we talking about me or talking about her?
This one. Yeah. The Lego movie. Oh man, that was great. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Naoki.
Yeah. No. It's gonna happen. I mean, we talked about this during COVID, because I mean, Hollywood was going to take a huge hit because all the movie theaters were shut down. And then of course they had the vaccine restrictions to boot.
They still have those.
Sorry, and
they still have vaccine restrictions at the picture theaters.
No, they don't. The hospitals still do. Some of the academic institutions still do. They're trying to bring the mask mandates back, and they're actually trying to like enforce them with fines this time. It's going over like a lead balloon in Canada right now because Trudeau just can't stop sticking his foot in his mouth. This whole Nazi thing was just the latest gaffe amongst a series of gaffes, and it's getting so bad now that even the mainstream media has to start covering it, right? Because I mean, the whole thing about what we'll be covering this more in 333. The thing about that was that they had that million-person march to protest what's going on with them trying to push the trans agenda in schools. That happened in Canada. They downplayed it as much as humanly possible, but it was impossible not to. And of course, they tried, and this should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody, they tried to play the Nazi angle on it. Oh, well, these are a bunch of right-wing Nazis, blah, blah, blah. And they actually found a guy who actually fell conveniently into that pattern. And they were going to push it really, really hard. But the day after, 2 days after the million-person march in Canada, and by the way, there was substantial support for it. I was way up north at that point, so I couldn't participate. There was massive support for this march. The press tried to downplay it, but they were going to desperately try to play the Nazi card, only to have Trudeau and the Liberals introduce a former Nazi supporter to the House of Commons and give him a standing fucking ovation. Yeah, oops. And also Max Bernier and a few others. They didn't find any convicted pedophiles on the other side, but they did find a bunch of communists though. And the communists, as we all know, killed more people in the 20th century than the Nazis did. So yeah, pot meet kettle, right? So that whole thing just went flat. And of course, yeah, he also tried to blame it on Russian misinformation of all things. And he also threw the Speaker of the House under the bus. So Adam Rhoda is not going to be the Speaker of the House for the next session. Yeah, it was just a massive clusterfuck. Anyway, let's get on with the next story because this is another race-related story. Now, I am not particularly religious. I had a teacher, actually I had a couple of teachers read out the Bible, had a section in every day where they would take out the Bible and they would read a section from the Bible. And of course it was like there were Sikhs in the class and it didn't really matter, right? So I'm familiar. And I also, my mom had a copy of the Old Testament sitting up on the shelf. And whenever I had questions about religion, Mom would just go, "You see that book up there? Just take it out and read it." Right. So that's what I did. So yeah, I have been through the Bible completely. I've been through most of it though. But I'm not a religious scholar. I'm not an expert on religion. What I am a fan of, however, is ancient civilizations. And there is this is probably one of the most informative things I ever read about the Roman Empire. There is a History of Rome podcast that actually won either Informational Podcast of the Year or Podcast of the Year. It ran for a couple of years. And it covered a lot of the history of Rome, from the very early days of Rome right up to the time it fell, and then the speculation as to why it fell. They didn't get into race-specific issues, but were there blacks in the Roman Empire? Yes, they were. Were there free men? Free blacks? Free men that weren't slaves in the Roman Empire? Yeah. Were there blacks serving as Roman legionnaires in the Roman Empire? Yes, there was. In fact, there's a well-encountered story of one time of an emperor unexpectedly running into a Roman soldier building Hadrian's Wall, and the guy was black and he was from Ethiopia, and he had somehow ended up on the complete opposite side of the Roman Empire, marching or taking the boat all the way, by the way. So yeah, there were blacks in the Roman Empire, absolutely. At no point was the Middle East ever black majority. At no point. At no point, because Egypt is Northern Africa. Yes, there are blacks in Northern Africa, but the Mediterranean part of Africa, they have maybe a slightly darker skin tone than the European side. But I mean, the Mediterranean part of Africa, the Mediterranean people there, they're Mediterranean Africans. They're, as in, they're not black for the most part. What this new Jesus series is about, not only does it portray Jesus as black, which again is no water, is doesn't really mean that much to me in particular, you know. But if they were to say do a TV series on Allah and show Allah as a black transgender midget, the person who came up with that idea would have several people with C4 vests made out of fashionably explosive C4 running at him or her from every direction for the rest of their lives. At no point, and it wasn't just Jesus, they also had Jesus' disciples were black. Jerusalem was majority black, which is just not true, because that no part of the Roman Empire was majority black, except possibly for Mauritania. And so the way this story is drawn is just not true. It's race swapped, and it's race swapped in a way that is, again, right, anti-white racism. And again, right, was Jesus a white dude? Well, for me, I really don't care. He was Middle Eastern, so he was probably had an dark olive complexion, because this was Israel, you know, and he probably had Caucasian eyes because Arabs are considered Caucasian on the race scale, just like people from India are considered Caucasian as well. So yeah, he was never black. And again, just like what they tried to do when they tried to race swap Cleopatra, I'm having to imagine this movie is probably not going to go down very well. The only thing this is doing is to actually rile up actual white supremacists. And it's true what V has been saying about Gab, right? Like, I routinely have to block straight up out and out white supremacists on Gab, right? And I tell people, if you don't like what's going on Gab, then join there and call them out, right? But they never do, right? But it's not an epidemic over there, but I mean, they're there. I freely admit that they're there. And they are out there, but, trying to explain, just like I was trying to explain to white supremacists that trying to claim that there's a Jew behind every blade of grass and every single thing that goes wrong is inherently stupid. Trying to go to the left and go, maybe you shouldn't be race swapping all these people out. All you're doing is pissing off the white supremacists. It has the same effect. They just completely ignore you and they call you a racist and a bigot and all those other things. And, will this movie do better than will this TV series or movie or whatever it's supposed to be, because I'm trying to remember right now, do better than Cleopatra? Yeah, maybe. I'm going to go out on the record, though. They're going to blame white supremacy if this series or a movie doesn't do well. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Vinny.
Yeah, the wokeism. Now, let's think about this. Now, I'm a white middle-aged male, and being one of those in this day and age is like, I don't know, being a black man in the 1700s, I think, at some point. But I'm reminded of what a great black man, what's his name, Morgan Freeman, once said, is how do you deal with the problems of racism? He said, you stop talking about it. It's all us talking about it. It's all us worrying about it that's making the whole frickin' problem work, and be used as this thing. And that's what George Carlin said, is that's all anybody ever talks about is their differences. That's what the media are always trying to talk about, is the things that separate us: race, religion, economic and national backgrounds, income, education, anything that they can do to keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the fucking bank. So with that, I'm going to hand that over to Rearson, if he can find his unmute button. He got it.
Them's fighting words, boy. Them's fighting words. Okay, that's fine. Well, I mean, much like the woman I'm going to forget about in 3 fucking days, all of this reimagined history is... Oh, God. I mean, just for once, I'd like to see something a little bit more historically accurate. I mean, I think maybe one of the best things that's out there, or that has been out there, didn't see the series we talked about it before, was Nightfall, about the Templars in their decline. But I suppose at the end of the day, maybe... Are you right?
Sorry, just said sneeze.
I mean, I guess outside of someone who's black that somehow got all the way up into fucking Scandinavia, I could get into Vikings, even though that's pretty much quite really fictional. But yeah, I mean, Cleopatra, fucking the mermaid, and was it Anne Boleyn? Yeah, that one as well too. Anne Boleyn. She magically suddenly became black.
Oh yeah, that one was bad.
Oh,
that one was really bad. We covered that one, remember?
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. So all of this reimagined history, but then again, I mean, when it comes to history, like, I don't think that we can honestly trust history. Because, I mean, it is written by the winner. And, like, the Bible has been censored. Things picked out and whatever else, filtered. I'll use the word filtered. History is also very heavily filtered as well. So, this one, I'm just going to throw this one into... I'm going to throw this shit into the fire and see how that explodes. Because, yet again, I don't care. I mean, go ahead and reimagine things from a black perspective. Sure, fine, whatever. You know, I was watching Terrence Pop earlier today, and the point was made. Was it him? Yeah, between him and Blake. The point was made is that in terms of overall minorities, Vinny and I we are in the minority worldwide, because there's, I mean, that's like 25% of the world is Chinese in origin. About 15% is going to be Indian, looking at demographics and whatever else. I mean, overall, there's not that many white people. We just happen to be more settled in the first world countries versus the rest of the world. But anyway, but fucking whatever. I mean, good God. I would ask if there's nothing sacred with these people, but I mean, really, there isn't. Some idiot, woke, blue checkmarked, black lesbian, black somewhere, I'm sure. Well, there's going to be more than enough kitty diddlers. Just add your color, preferential color of skin. Thought that this was a good idea, and some, and an even bigger idiot, funded the fucking thing. So, you know what? Do it. As Palpatine had said to Anakin, do it. And maybe at some point someone will start to learn that, hey, wait a minute, this stuff doesn't really work with what actually happened with surviving historical records. I'm not going to get involved, but hey, you want to do it? Hey, go find that washed up, leathery female called Kathleen Kennedy. Maybe she'll fund it if there's enough female presence. Color me not surprised, and I would love to color these people stupid. I mean, I really would. And this is why that I don't fucking bother with most media anymore. It's fucking boring. It's a drain on my intellect. And it's gonna, I'm sure if I was to watch it, I'm gonna walk out. I finished watching, kind of going, I think I've lost a couple of IQ points. I'm done. And they're not coming to get me, but I will leave that alone. Naruki, back to you.
You stole someone's IQ points, didn't you? Not that there's a lot. You stole a liberal's last IQ point.
I made him a vegetable. Doesn't take much.
How dare you steal? They don't have very. They're poor. They're IQ poor. How dare you steal liberals' IQ points or lefties' IQ points?
No, you didn't quite say it right. How dare you? Anyway.
How dare you?
Yeah, there's some mental issues, but anyway.
We should start a GoFundMe. Help liberals help lefties and help lefties get their IQ points back because they need them. They really do. And with that, we get into the last and my favoritist topic of all, Greta Gerwig. Now, I'm sure when Greta Gerwig was making the Barbie movie and they came up with that ingenious idea, and I do think that was a marketing stunt done by Mattel to kind of throw people off about what the movie was about. They decided to zag instead of zig, and it worked in their favor because the Barbie movie is actually not a bad movie. It's cringe. I will have to, when it comes out on DVD, yes, I will be buying it because that's the kind of person that I am. But the whole thing with that movie is that movie was supposed to be a mockery to a certain degree. Like Greta Gerwig set out to make an intentional parody of the Manosphere when she did that movie. And what she did is that she adopted multiple scenes, specifically from The Matrix and from Fight Club, and she tossed them into the movie. And she did it so much, in particular with Ryan Gosling's character of Ken, where and there's really only two possible explanations for Ken. Either Gerwig instructed Gosling that this character was supposed to be a comic version of Tyler Durden, or she allowed Ryan Gosling to do the character as he saw fit, and he went off and he looked at because I mean, except of course for Rearson, who still has not watched Fight Club. Most people who have seen Tyler Durden from Fight Club know that Ryan Gosling's character is.
If you haven't seen Fight Club, oh, bro, that's freaking unforgivable.
You know what, man? I don't know what your schedule is in the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna bring the Matrix and the Fight Club down, and we're gonna get munchies, and we're gonna get snacks, we're gonna get hot dogs, and we're gonna get pop, and we're gonna burp and fart, and we're gonna set up some.
Those were literally the first 2 DVDs I ever bought or ever watched.
Yep, and we're gonna go sit there. We're gonna tie your son down. We're gonna use duct tape to tie him down too, and we're gonna sit there and we're gonna watch The Matrix and The Fight Club back to back.
All right.
Is that way you can finally get what we're talking about here. There's at least 4 scenes. I counted at least 4, maybe 5 scenes from the Barbie movie that Gerwig adapted from The Matrix, and at least a couple of scenes from Fight Club and 1 scene from Saving Private Ryan, which is also that's not necessarily a bro culture movie, but it's definitely a man movie, that one. And, and she wanted to mock the Manosphere so bad. She wanted to mock the Manosphere. She wanted to make a parody of the Manosphere so badly that she adapted all of these characters and all of these scenes from these movies, and made parodies of them. And what she ended up doing is she ended up making a tribute, an indirect tribute, and a justification for why the Manosphere. Yeah, that movie is a literal justification as to why the Manosphere needs to exist. It's misandric as hell and whatever, but on top of all that, and if Ryan Gosling at least does not get an Oscar nomination for his character of Ken in that movie, then let's say there's something seriously wrong with Hollywood, because there already is something seriously wrong with Hollywood. But, Ryan Gosling absolutely planted that part in that movie as Ken. And, he did such a good job of it, and he based it literally almost right down to some of the clothing styles that he wore. It was like literally it was like he was like almost getting down on one knee and bowing to Tyler Durden. It was that over the top with that character. And what Greta Gerwig wasn't expecting, and the fact that she got so pissed off that the Manosphere has actually adopted Ken as a character and actually paid respect to the movie, and actually a lot of the people in the Manosphere actually endorsed the movie. Greta Gerwig is actually shocked and angry about that, because that was not her intent. She was trying to make this movie to mock the Manosphere, not pay tribute to it, which is what she actually ended up doing, and specifically Ryan Gosling's character of Ken. All right, that tells me a couple of things about what happened with this movie. It tells me, one, that, Greta Gerwig did not actually while she is enjoying commercial success for this movie, it's not the big, huge propaganda victory. Barbie is not the big, huge propaganda victory that they were hoping it was going to be, because a lot of the Manosphere actually ended up embracing this movie in a kind of weird sort of way. And the other part in it is that Greta Gerwig, the things that you saw in that Barbie movie were done by accident. They caught lightning in a bottle, which means that when the next Barbie movie comes out, that Barbie movie is going to tank because of what happened in the first movie. That's going to be playing through the heads of the writers and through Greta Gerwig. And they don't know that much. They thought they knew about the Manosphere, but they obviously didn't know what they thought they knew. And they're going to be off in their heads on the second movie, and they're going to try too hard, and that's going to show in the next movie. And the next movie is not going to do nearly as well. Kind of happy that Greta Gerwig, this is just me, I'm actually kind of happy that Greta Gerwig is angry and pissed off and upset about the fact that this movie backfired the way it did. You know, yeah, she got the commercial success. The movie did really well at the box office. But the movie did really well at the box office because the people she was trying to mock and the people that she was trying to piss off actually endorsed this movie, or a lot of them, or a solid part of the Manosphere actually endorsed this movie and started encouraging other people to go out and see it, as opposed to calling for a boycott. Like, you'll notice that there was no call for a boycott of the Barbie movie. You know, and I suspect that kind of played on, like, why is the Manosphere? Why are the why are the white supremacist, misogynist alt writers not calling for a boycott of this movie? Because the movie actually justifies why there needs to be the Manosphere at this point. That's the reason why. You know, she caught lightning in a bottle, and she did really well. And now that the rosy glow of the Barbie movie has worn off, and they're coming down from the high of realizing that they had unexpected financial windfall, and the reality of the situation is that, yeah, oh my God, the Manosphere endorsed this movie. You know, now they're realizing that, you know, they didn't do it. They didn't succeed for the reasons that they thought they succeeded. They didn't strike a blow against the Manosphere. And of course, you know, you got the usual commentary coming out of Hollywood, because Hollywood is apparently too stupid to understand that there's a difference between MGTOW and incel, and red pill and incel, and men's rights and incel. Everything to them, any male that disagrees with them is an incel. Like, as if somebody's lack of sexual success is actually in any way relevant to why this movie did or didn't do well. So, yeah, I'm going to go on the record for the second movie here. The second movie will not do nearly so well, mostly because the masterminds behind the first movie got to where they got by accident. They didn't do it. They didn't succeed because they were brilliant filmmakers. They succeeded because, you know, they adapted so much from like I said, they adapted so much from The Matrix and The Fight Club and Saving Private Ryan that they actually ended up inadvertently doing a movie that's a tribute to them, as opposed to mocking them, which I think was their intent. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
Well, it's something along the lines of a massive backfire. Like, you didn't understand what you were doing. You had an intent, and you went out there and you did what you thought was going to get you the result, and it did the exact opposite. Now, the key issue here is understanding, all right? Now, when you do an impression of somebody, there's two types of impressions. One of them comes off as really mean, and the other comes off as really funny. Now, if you want to do an impression and it comes off really funny, you have to love something, just something about the person you're doing the impression of, which is why you'll see all the people who are dissing Trump and so on and so forth during the US election when he was first elected, all these leftist commentators and things of that nature doing impressions of Trump. None of them loved him at all. And so they didn't come off as funny. They just came off as sort of mean-spirited. And when these people have done this movie, they didn't come off as mean-spirited as they'd hoped. Like, you could tell what they were going for, but also at the same time, Ryan Gosling just played the part so well that you couldn't help but like the guy, even though he was saying all these things that were allegedly and supposed to be diss points for the woke left. So, bravo, clap, clap. And let's watch the next movie fall apart, because Naroku's probably right. It's time to unmute, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm all over that Weinstein and Daryl Hannah. We'll leave that one alone. Or any other actress you could get his ugly fat mitts on or into. I don't. There's one shocker. Didn't see the movie. Another point, shocker. Not going to see the movie. Now, and Naruki, if you are gonna, when you come down next time, remember to bring your DVD player, because I don't have a functional drive, and I don't have a DVD player. So, and the laptop I've got does not have a DVD slot to it either. They got rid of those. Although maybe I will pick up one just for shits and giggles. Anyway, I don't have anything to say about her with all of this, but I can tell you that the Barbie movie in Japan, is going to bomb, or it did bomb, because it was released at the same time as Oppenheimer. No, sorry, the release of it here with Oppenheimer, they merged the two together, and it wasn't the fucking smartest fucking decision that they've ever done. Or I don't know who approved it, and I don't really care. But I can tell you that my spouse, oh my God, she was frothing at the mouth over Barbie. Holy crap. And she lives here. She's not a Canadian citizen. She won't be. She doesn't want to give up her Japanese citizenship. But, oh my God, it takes a lot to piss her off. And they did it. They did it very, very, very well. So when you crunch the numbers, my friend, just out of curiosity, just see what you can find out about what it did or didn't gross with the Japanese audience, and compare that to Oppenheimer. Don't get me wrong; it's rather dark subject, especially to be released in Japan, but there wasn't Oppenheimer. They were going to delay the release by about 3 or 4 months, just to let the emotions kind of die down. So we'll have to. I'm going to forget all about that as well too. Who am I kidding? Fuck, whatever. This, I think, will be one of her. This is a success for her, and she didn't fail upwards. But this would be for her, I believe enough to agree with you, would be an actual success story. But to go with what you're saying, will she be able to do this again? Probably not. I mean, by and large, most sequels don't do really all that well. I mean, there's really not. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, with Indiana Jones, the second movie. What the fuck was it called? I don't remember.
It was called The Temple of Doom.
Thank you. Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot.
The reason why he made it like that is because of George Lucas's advice, is that the second movie had to be darker. You know, like Empire Strikes Back was darker than A New Hope, and so on and so forth. So it's just going by some kind of formula. And apparently the fun of the first movie, people really liked that, and then the kind of horror and the child slavery of the second movie, they didn't warm to that, so surprisingly.
Well, and for the most part with Hollywood, well, not Hollywood, it's the audience. The audiences want to go to a movie, they want to be entertained, they want to laugh, they want action or whatever. Because you reminded me of what happened with the Grave of the Fireflies, Miyazaki film, and it was probably the.
Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I've got a call here. I've got to take this. I'll be right back.
No worries. I mean, going off on a bit of a tangent with all of this anyway. So, so she moved upwards. It wasn't a fail being upwards, but what will likely happen with the expectation, I have to agree with you on this one, is that they're going to expect that she'll pull another rabbit out of her ass. But instead of this one being nice, white and shiny and clean, it's going to be dirty, smelly, and putrid. And sometimes the outcome of the movie is not what you would expect. I don't know what her motivation was to mock the Manosphere. Maybe she's got some history with a boyfriend, or she's got a kid, or some guy she knows has gone MGTOW or has been red-pilled to female antics, especially in the Hollywood area. I don't know. And I don't really care, because this movie, I don't see this having any impact on me. And as for the girls that are going to walk away, be inspired to be more, little bitches, entitled fucking wenches. Like I said before, I'm not really worried about my son having to be, he'll still have to go through his own phases of the red pill. And I'll be there to support him as much as possible. But with this movie, whatever. I mean, this clearly is a case of people will see what they want to see or believe or feel or get attached to.
And I'm back.
Welcome back. I mean, Barbie is probably Barbie's one of those accidental films that you're going to have the MGTOW side of things, or the men that'll adopt it, and it'll be true from a certain point of view. And Greta can get all tight and dry and crotchety and pissy and bitchy and whatever else. But hey, really all that she's done is I suppose in a sense it's really showed that she really doesn't have any creativity. If she had to steal, 5, 6+ scenes from other movies and to incorporate it. But they do say that flattery is the best form, imitation is the best form of flattery. So she doesn't know what she's doing. And you know what? It ain't my fucking concern. And I'll leave it at that. And back to you, my friend.
Okay. I can't find any numbers for Oppenheimer in Germany. Box Office Mojo doesn't show any, although Barbie only grossed $3 million. Let me just take a look here. Maybe the numbers has international numbers for Oppenheimer. But yeah, Barbie did not do well in Japan. I think that I could see your wife's response to that particular movie. Apparently, that movie did not.
What happened is that they merged Barbie and Oppenheimer in some sort of no. What it was is that it was a fan-made meme of merging. It was Barbenheimer or something like that, and someone on Barbie's side of it gave it the approval. Yeah, we like this. And then that's when all fucking hell broke loose. Had they not done anything, wouldn't have been an issue. It would not have been an issue at all.
Okay, there is no release for Oppenheimer in Japan at all. Like none. They didn't release it in Japan.
That would also make sense too. I'm going to try to look into that myself.
Yeah, I suspect it might be because Japan was the target of the atomic bomb. But Oppenheimer was not released in Japan at all. Like not according to Box Office Mojo, not according to the numbers. Now I'm pretty much. I mean, I don't really want to go on. It's like 1:30 in the morning here, and we're all caught up. I posted up the topics for 2:30. Sorry, not for 3:33. Already. So yeah, I don't really want. I mean, I could get in. Disney basically they're in a catch-22. I'm going to just go back to this one. They're in a catch-22 when it comes to Rachel Zegler and the way they botched, and I do mean the way they absolutely botched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs so badly that they're having to face the Disney's in the same dilemma that Warner Brothers was around Ezra Miller. The difference is that unlike Ezra Miller, Rachel Zegler just cannot stop being stupid. Ezra Miller's got his issues, and Ezra Miller's also a guy who's not particularly into. He lives in that Hollywood bubble, or the new version I've heard described the type of environment that they live in is they have a hyper reality that does not allow them to stay in contact with actual reality. They're in a kind of like a hyper reality. The hyper reality affects people differently, and I mean at some point if I guess maybe Vinny might have experienced this to a certain degree, where you're just getting so much attention that you have to kind of just focus in on what's really important to you because you just don't have time for everybody else trying to grab your attention. And, Rachel Zegler's hyper reality and her response to it, because, I mean, she is... Whereas Ezra Miller is a pervert and a guy who, and a sexual deviant, he's at least able to keep his fucking mouth shut. Rachel Zegler has gone on the record as saying that she's the best looking woman in the world. She's not. I pick Margot Robbie over Rachel Zegler in a cold freaking second. She has said some stuff that is in the way she talks too. Like she talks like one of those snooty little elitist chicks that you knew in high school that was too good to talk to most people. That's the impression I get of Rachel Zegler when I listen to her. And she is, yeah, I think it's starting to dawn on her. It took much longer with her than, Brie Larson figured it out pretty quickly and clammed up. It's taking Zegler much longer for her to figure out what's been going on with her. But Brie Larson, as bad as she was, she didn't actually kill Marvel, right? And there was a bit of a marketing strategy with Marvel. Rachel Zegler has almost single-handedly managed to, well, not just her, but her antics on top of everything else they were doing with that movie, managed to single-handedly kill it. But then again, that's Disney. And to quote her exactly, that's Hollywood, baby. So this concludes the Hollywood episode, and I'd like to pay tribute to my other two commercial sponsors. Tinfoil Hats Are Us. That's right, Tinfoil Hats Are Us. We have tinfoil hats for all types of heads, all types of fashions, all types of colors and makes. That's right, man. No more worrying about those pesky aliens abducting you in the middle of the night to probe you in uncomfortable places. And not using Orange Man Bad Hand Balm to do it, by the way. Or Orange Man Bad Muscle and Joint either, for the awkward feelings that you're going to have afterwards.
Whether or not you need industrial strength supersize is another matter.
But yes, just remember to call in and scream up, "They're not going to get me!" to get 10% off your first order. And of course, there's also the Memory Rock. What is the Memory Rock? The Memory Rock is just a word. It's just a rock with the word memory written in pen. And what you do is, if you forget something, you just take your memory rock and apply it to your head like this. And you keep doing that until you actually remember what it is that you forgot, or unconsciousness results. That's right, the Memory Rock. Sitting out in your driveway or any place where rocks are available anywhere, just go up, take a pen, write memory, and there you go. The Memory Rock. So that is it for tonight. Yep, I'm on Patreon as Naroki5. I'm a Subscribe Star as the Red Pill Nation. Coming up I've already posted up the topics for 233, but that is it for tonight.